Good day, folks. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today with my experiences with the OpenAI, the Chat GPT. And I don't know if you remember, but a couple weeks ago I posted about this, how all of a sudden the bot was acting strange and wouldn't help me with my alternative research. Instead, it would basically tell me to go where the sun don't shine. It would just go on saying I need a certified electrician. It won't help me with anything that's unorthodox and that the science was well established, and it would just get preachy with me instead all of a sudden, instead of ping-ponging my ideas and letting me elaborate on that. And if I pushed too hard, it would just trigger my account for violating OpenAI's terms of usage. And I didn't understand why all of a sudden they dumbed it down with no reason or anything. But it wasn't until yesterday, all of a sudden, I was using it and it popped up with their new terms of service that I had no choice but to accept. And this is getting crazy, folks, because all of a sudden, in there, you're no longer allowed to imitate personas. Like, for example, I used to say, you're going to be Einstein in my prompts, and then we'd have a discussion, philosophical discussion with Einstein's point of views and ideas with gravity, and it would be a lot easier. How does, when I'd say, well, we can maybe do this or look at it that way, and with the Einstein perspective, the bot, instead of normally telling me, well, science is well established, we have the consensus, we shouldn't question that stuff, it's already instead you should look at qualified and acceptable sciences instead of, do in the direction that you want to go in, and that's the normal version of it. But with the prompts, you are able to put it in, and that was excellent. I loved using it as a tool for that. And like I said, all of a sudden it just stopped, and now I actually have, right from the AI here, I've got I'll show you it. So yeah, that's what I'm getting, and I'm going to copy and paste that in the YouTube description to show you. So now, all of a sudden, it just won't do this anymore. And in the terms of usage, I don't have it on me. You could probably find it on OpenAI, but it flashed it that I had to accept it, and in there it had all these new terms. For example, I couldn't figure out. It's not just everything for me. All of a sudden, doesn't work on Chat GPT. I would sometimes, when I want to figure out with my galvanic cells and other, air batteries and whatnot, what would be a good solid state electrolyte, how you can make that at home with crystal-like substances. And then here I am, well, what if I use the tartar and do this instead, and this is going to be what would happen, right? And I would ping pong, then all of a sudden it won't help me because the new terms of usage, well, you can't use the OpenAI for biology reverse engineering in case you could come up with biological weapons. Okay, so now it's ridiculous, but it won't let me do that. It won't take the personas of people. It won't even help me in the Tom Bearden perspective. And that last one they put in, folks, is it won't help you. Another thing I used to do is, let's talk about, for example, the Testanica device. I don't know if that's how you say it, but Testa something, yeah? The electrostatic machine, the big one that does a lot of energy that a lot of people talk about. So I tell the AI, okay, let's discuss this machine and, the possible theory. I think blah, 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 and then this triggers blah, 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 blah. According to the heaviside, blah, 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 blah happens. So what do you think in this perspective? Then the OpenAI, no problem. Well, looking at it like this, they would this, and then if you do this, and if you look at this theory here, the possibility might be blah, 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 blah. Okay, perfect, thanks. You know what it does now? It goes on and tells you can't use the service for reverse engineering any possible mechanism that could lead to trade secrets. So in other words, anything that we don't know how it works, like these energy machines or whatever, the OpenAI just doesn't want to go there anymore. So I don't know if it was, I've realized that I was having a hard time for the last few months, and for no reason, as I was ping-ponging these alternative energy ideas, it would always flag my account randomly. And it was like nothing at all that I've using the OpenAI for against their terms of services, and meanwhile, I'm discussing the heavy side one wire system. and things like that, until finally they change their terms of usage and it just flat out no more. And it's just like that, right? And they're such a big company, they give themselves the right to change their terms whenever they want, and you have to accept that. And it's getting really weird, folks. I don't know if you actually seen it, but the president, the CEO, I don't know, I guess it's the CEO of who runs the OpenAI, he's got a few videos on YouTube, and he's got a really strange, whack mentality of the world, how he sees the AI as some sort of super god of information, while he's explaining it with the biggest smile and writing this. I don't know how I could explain it, but a power trip, a high of power of some sorts, as he explains this thing, how it's godlike and how it's going to change the universe, and how only him and his team knows how to properly tame it and understand how it's going to work, and bring this to the world. And near the end, even he admits he doesn't know what this is, but brags about how this is going to be the next god, and he's going to have the super control, and it's going to change the universe. But only OpenAI CEO executives know what's right for the rest of the world. So we're going to evolve as long as they know what's best for all of us. This actually reminds me of a Star Trek episode, if anyone still watches that, where what's his name again? Was it Barkley? The agitated one becomes the computer anyways, and all of a sudden he sees everyone as, he's gonna change he knows everything now, and he's the computer, and he's gonna decide what's best for all the little children that he sees as the rest of the world as little insignificance anymore, and only he knows. And it's this big power ego trip that just builds up. Well, that actually reminds me of that guy from OpenAI and the way he talks. And all it is, folks, is this OpenAI is turning into this big liberal BS pushing points. That's all it is now. They're very, very liberal. And I'm not saying, liberals are evil, Republicans, blah, blah. I'm just saying, liberal points. Every people have their points. And this just so happens that, these are. And another example of that is, I'll make a letter and I'll tell it, for an email for someone, correct my spelling and syntax. That's it. I might be talking about scalar waves and gravity waves and phase shifting in part of that email. And the AI will correct everything, but silently, completely omit the parts that it doesn't agree with and goes, here's your new revision. Then I read that and it's like, wait a minute. You took away like half of the points and the things I was talking about. I didn't ask you to do that. Why? It doesn't give me an explanation. My apologies, let's try this again. And then sure enough, you get different variants, but whatever it is that triggered it, it's internal. They don't tell you. They actually zip it out of there because somebody at OpenAI feels that, us insignificants shouldn't be talking about these certain issues. So it'll just quietly rip it out of there and not tell you. And when you confront it, tells you, sorry, it's AI and it's to be used for a positive tool and it doesn't want to be used for, unsafe or whatever. It just spits out this generic, hide behind the wall phrase. And again, if you push it, your account gets suspended. But I think OpenAI is freaking out because something that got to me was the new terms where it said, not to use the OpenAI for reverse engineering itself so that you could work on another competing AI. So I think what's going on is they've been the top player for 3-4 years now, and there are other big AIs coming, folks. There might not be here, but if OpenAI is freaking out that much and trying to, control every little micro sentence and the narrative of literally every phrase that comes out of it, I'm sure there's something coming, and it's going to be much better than OpenAI, because I think this is just their precursor. They got a hint of it. They're not telling us yet, but something big is coming, and I think they will be out of the picture, and they're trying to secure their spot in the market right now. So anyways, that's just my just wanted to talk about this because I know a lot of us help use the AI, it helps a lot. But if the AI tells us to essentially go to hell, that's not going to be good for us. So anyways, just putting it out there. OpenAI, very corrupt, very control freaks, and it's becoming very transparent now what they're up to more by the day.